The narrative unfolds with Chung Sung-bong stirring from slumber in his modest apartment, a space that reflects the tranquility of his personal life. As a seasoned officer of the Regional Crime Unit, Bong is celebrated for his steadfast commitment to justice and his unwavering moral compass. His home is filled with warmth and anticipation. His beloved wife is expecting their first child, symbolizing hope and new beginnings amid the turbulence of his demanding career. At the police station, Bong is warmly greeted by his longtime colleague and dear friend, Yu. In a heartfelt gesture, Yu presents him with baby clothes for the impending arrival, underscoring the deep bond forged through years of camaraderie and shared experiences. Shortly thereafter, they gather for a crucial team briefing aimed at orchestrating the capture of the infamous drug trafficker Wong Kun, who is poised to engage in a significant transaction with the Vietnamese mafia. Wong has long eluded capture, remaining a high-priority target for law enforcement. As preparations for the operation unfold, a parallel narrative introduces a group of criminals preparing for their own mission. At the helm is the coldly calculating Yao Kong NGO, whose hardened demeanor hints at a profound vendetta that drives him. Back at the station, Bong receives directives from his superiors to withdraw from the operation. Though discontent simmers within him, he begrudgingly complies. Meanwhile, Yu takes the lead in pursuing Wong's hideout. Determined to lend support to his team, Bong defies orders and instructs one of his subordinates to locate Wong's whereabouts. As the Vietnamese arrive at Wong's base to initiate the drug deal, chaos erupts when Kong and his crew, clad in tactical gear, launch a surprise assault on the premises. One of Kong's men deploys a signal jammer, crippling police surveillance and plunging the operation into disarray. Wong, mistaking the attackers for Vietnamese dealers, meets a swift demise alongside his men as Kong seizes the drugs. Outside, the police sense an ominous shift in the atmosphere. They spring into action, igniting a ferocious gunfight as Kong's crew unleashes a torrent of fire upon the unsuspecting officers. Amidst the chaos, Yu bravely confronts the assailants. When they remove their masks, he is struck by horror to recognize them as former colleagues, once trusted friends turned ruthless adversaries. This shocking revelation costs him his life. Moments later, Bong arrives on the scene only to be confronted with the heartbreaking sight of Yu's lifeless body. In a chilling aftermath, Kong delivers the stolen drugs to a crime boss named Guai, who expresses dissatisfaction over the senseless murder of police officers, emphasizing that their objective was merely theft. Unfazed, Kong commands his men to eliminate all traces of evidence and lay low. At Yu's funeral, Bong stands shattered by grief and guilt, igniting an unyielding resolve to uncover the truth behind this betrayal. Meanwhile, Kong isolates himself in training, his simmering rage revealing an unhealed wound of betrayal from his past. A poignant flashback unveils that Kong and his men were once honorable police officers, loyal and committed to upholding justice, before their transformation into the very monsters they once fought against. They had been assigned, alongside Bong, the critical mission of rescuing a wealthy businessman, Mr. Fox, who had been abducted by Wong. In a desperate attempt to extract information, Kong resorted to brutal interrogation tactics on a suspect, forcing him to reveal the location of the hostage. However, when the suspect resisted and tried to flee, Kong's team savagely beat him to death. Upon arriving at the scene, Bong vehemently condemned their violent actions. The subsequent trial saw both Commissioner Sato and Mr. Fox distance themselves from Kong's team, leaving them to face the consequences alone. As the key witness, Bong testified honestly, ultimately sealing their fate. The team faced dishonorable discharge and imprisonment, a moment that planted the seeds of bitterness deep within Kong. Fast forward to the present, Bong leads drug raids, diligently tracking leads connected to Guai. When Guai is identified as the mastermind behind the operations, Bong, defying protocol, decides to confront him alone under the cover of night. A fierce confrontation ensues within Guai's building. Guai attempts to bribe Bong, but Bong adamantly rejects the offer, further escalating their violent clash. Anticipating Bong's reckless move, his team arrives just in time to assist him in fending off Guai's henchmen while Bong pursues Guai through the streets. Guai's escape is cut short when he is struck and killed by a vehicle driven by one of Kong's men. Later that night, Bong returns home battered and weary. His wife finds him tending to his wounds in the bathroom and offers her silent support, her concern evident but unspoken. In a moment of remembrance, Bong visits a crematorium to honor his fallen comrades, only to unexpectedly encounter Kong and his crew. The air thickens with tension as Bong attempts to explain that he had sought to visit them in prison but was repeatedly denied access. Kong remains distant and dismissive, refusing to engage. Bong insists that Wong Kun's killers were not police officers but rogue criminals, yet Kong responds with a calm indifference that belies his true intentions. Meanwhile, Chu, one of Kong's crew, spends time with his girlfriend in a hotel room. He gives her a watch stolen from Wong, but when he discovers her infidelity, rage consumes him, leading him to murder her and dispose of her body. The discovery of her remains, still adorned with the stolen watch, prompts the police to review hotel CCTV footage, clearly revealing Chu entering with the victim. Elsewhere, Kong and his crew plot to rob Mr. Fox's bank as an act of retribution for perceived betrayal. Bong tracks Chu's phone and discovers their location. As they make their way there, Chu spots a police vehicle surveilling them and alerts Kong. Realizing the imminent danger, Kong and his men scatter. In a heart-pounding chase through narrow city streets, Kong escapes on a motorbike, pursued relentlessly by Bong. Simultaneously, a shootout erupts between police and Chu's would-be rescuers. After narrowly evading capture by the police, Chu ultimately faces a grim fate as he is beaten and killed by Kong's team for his recklessness. They then abduct Commissioner Sato from his home, setting the stage for the culmination of their revenge. In a daring maneuver, Kong and his crew arrive at the police station, feigning concern as they report Chu missing. However, the police detain them for questioning but, lacking sufficient evidence. Meanwhile, Bong, seething with frustration over the dead ends in his investigation, confronts Kong in an interrogation room, demanding the unvarnished truth. Kong reveals the depths of his vendetta, his anger directed not only at the system and Bong but also at the betrayal that led to their collective downfall. Suddenly, Bong receives alarming news. His wife has been taken hostage and is with Commissioner Sato, who has a bomb strapped around his neck. Fueled by desperation, Bong rushes to the location where they are held. The police had no choice but to release Kong and his crew once the 48-hour detention limit had elapsed. The bomb is linked to Sato's heartbeat, creating a perilous situation for everyone involved. From a distance, Kong and his team observe through a camera attached to Sato. In a moment of chilling revelation, Sato admits that he once ordered Kong to do whatever was necessary to retrieve Mr. Fox, confirming the betrayal that catalyzed their tragic fates. As the countdown to detonation accelerates, police snipers take decisive action and shoot Sato, momentarily halting the bomb's trigger mechanism. Yet, in a calculated move, Kong reactivates it remotely. In a race against time, Bong manages to free his wife by shooting her handcuffs just moments before the explosion. Later, outside the hospital, Bong paces anxiously, awaiting news of his wife's condition. Internal Affairs arrives to arrest him for assaulting fellow officers during the hostage crisis. Meanwhile, Kong meets with the mafia to finalize plans for the bank heist, but they back out due to mounting police pressure. In a ruthless act of betrayal, Kong eliminates them all and swaps out the USB drive containing crucial security data. At Bong's disciplinary hearing, he passionately pleads for one last chance to apprehend Kong. The tribunal grants him 24 hours. With time slipping away, Bong and his team discover the corpses of the mafia members. Among them is a bank guard connected to Mr. Fox. Realizing Kong's true objective, Bong springs into action. At the bank, Kong and his crew infiltrate while disguised as staff members. They ambush Mr. Fox and force him to unlock the vault. However, their escape is thwarted when they encounter Bong. A fierce shootout erupts on the bustling streets, with Kong's men falling one by one. Bong corners Kong, and they engage in an intense and emotional confrontation. Faced with the inevitability of justice and surrounded by law enforcement once more, Kong makes a heart-wrenching decision to end his own life, bringing his tragic quest for vengeance to a devastating conclusion. Thanks for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more of these recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.